Morgan, we're literally at the end of the road here in Lumberton. This is 5th Street, normally runs into South Lumberton. It is underwater. A laundry list of crimes taking place here. You can still see some of the remnants. Used condoms and several spent shotgun shells. Behind me, this is Reedy Creek. It looks more like a river or lake at this point. All the rain that we have seen today, 10 to 15 inches through this area. Look what it's done behind Reedy Creek Baptist Church. This water, when we got here, was actually a little bit higher than it is now, but you can see threatening to get into this building. David Tepper is having a self-described heck of a week. The billionaire businessman still has to wait until July to officially take over for Carolina. But the NFL and Commissioner Roger Goodell are happy to tap Tepper for the future as the league looks to put the scandal surrounding Jerry Richardson in the past. This used to be the awning at this gas station in Florence. It collapsed earlier today. We were on our way to Myrtle Beach, trying to make it there as Matthew was making landfall. We didn't get there. We got cut off about 40 miles away because this storm was packing a punch. All that rain Greg talked about, closing off roads and bridges, those high winds, killing power to hundreds of thousands of people and leaving behind scenes like this across the Carolinas.
Uh-oh. What's up, man?
Miles from the Carolina coast, Hurricane Matthew was still hammering away. High winds, major flooding, down trees and power lines, leading to extremely dangerous conditions on the road to Myrtle Beach. David Churchill was just trying to get home.
Florence, road after road was flooded out. Just looking at some of the roads, looked at them, it's like, yeah, you know you can't pass it. And yet people were trying.
Chad Watson drives a truck. He left Myrtle Beach this morning and says things were bad before Matthew made landfall.
A lot of the ponds and different holding ponds and area or large water areas, they had started filling up this morning when I woke up this morning. But like I said, I was trying to get out of there and I ended up still getting stuck. So
as the storm raged inland, the water kept rising, threatening homes and businesses and stretching first responders too thin. By nightfall, residents in Florence had been without power for 10 hours and were packing any place that was open, serving food.
It's pretty hectic. Exactly where I live at, I said, all the power out is down and no electricity. This is only the main street in Florence that has it going right now. So you see everybody is in there trying to get something to eat, man. It's pretty tough.
There's a curfew here in Florence County for 7 o'clock, but people are still out on the streets tonight. Those people were eating after that 7 o'clock curfew. We were able to set up shop and do our editing for this story in a hotel just around the corner in downtown Florence. I did talk to some people there. That hotel packed, booked solid. A woman who lives in Myrtle Beach told me she's been told she cannot go back tomorrow, so she booked another night at the hotel. Lots of people eager to get back and see what Matthew has left behind at their homes, both in Charleston and in Myrtle Beach as well. Morgan, this rally for respect in Raleigh's really been building momentum. In fact, so many teachers were wanting to attend to take a personal day off that CMS and other school districts across the state had to cancel classes today. It was a sea of red in Raleigh. And the tide of teachers rolled down to the Capitol with thousands marching for the cause.
They need to fully fund public education, not just teacher raises. It needs to be in the classrooms. It needs to be teacher assistants. It needs to be everything.
The focus in Raleigh has been pushed to teacher pay. North Carolina ranked 48th in the nation in that area a few years ago. The General Assembly has increased teacher salaries the last few years and vows to do so again in the next budget. The state now ranks 37th. Educators say that's not enough.
We've given them all these raises. They need to quit whining. It's easy to avoid talking about the things like classroom supplies that we don't have.
It's about teachers having the resources they need to support the children that they love, because no one's teaching for the money.
Teachers packed the Capitol building as the General Assembly opened a short session. They also met with their local lawmakers and held a rally for respect.
I am honored to stand with you, North Carolina teachers, stand with you each and every day.
We talked with Mecklenburg County lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. They say recent GOP budgets have helped increase salaries for newer teachers, but the experienced educators are being left behind.
Whenever the folks in this building like to brag about all they've done for teachers, they're not doing it for the most experienced and the ones with the highest levels of their degrees.
We recognize we haven't been taking care of the veteran teachers, and those are someone and a group of folks we're going to have to start paying some attention to.
They were expecting 15,000 to show up. Estimates say that more than 20,000 teachers and supporters marched today. I walked down with them to the Capitol, and along the way, people were coming out of businesses and offices to show support for those teachers. And one CMS teacher that I was walking with said that support actually brought him to tears. I also talked to a teacher who wasn't going to come today. It was his students who talked him into doing so. Morgan, I'll have that a little later in the newscast.
Watch with Will Kennedy.
Sometimes the best way to cure the disease is to cut out the cancer. We highlighted one nuisance property in West Charlotte last month that's been poisoning a neighborhood for years, attracting drugs, prostitution, and violent crime. Now that house is gone.
Everything from fighting with chairs, shovels, bricks, fighting amongst one another.
Don Ferguson worked across the street from the house at 3120 Tuckasegee Road. He and his co-workers saw it all through the years. They sent WCCB Charlotte video of the craziness.
Police reports are just unbelievable, the amount of times that police officers have been here in the last couple of years.
We actually pull the numbers, and in the last year we had over 100 calls for service just at this house, primarily dealing with prostitution, disturbances, fights, and drug-related charges. And it's right here in the streets in the middle of all these houses. In the neighborhood, they were tired of it.
A week ago, there was a house here. Now all that's left is that one brick on this property that was a thorn in the side for both CMPD and the community around it. A laundry list of crimes taking place here. You can still see some of the remnants. Used condoms and several spent shotgun shells. A 13-month odyssey ending in a win for the residents of Enderley Park, local businesses, and CMPD. The house was finally condemned by Charlotte Code Enforcement, the demolition approved by City Council.
To not have this property here is huge for them. And because of the drain on us for manpower, the amount of time we were out here, it's going to be, I think, a positive thing for everybody involved.
This house was an absolute nuisance to this Enderley Park community, and the residents who really brought it to our attention, helped us along the way, were a huge support for us. And I really want to tell them thank you, because it's really because of them that this got started, and now it's gone.
Officer Myers told me that CMPD responded to 216 disturbance calls on that former house at 3120 Tuckasegee Road in the last 2 years alone. 3 young children, all under the age of 7, left home alone drinking vodka. Tonight, their mother is in jail facing child abuse charges. A neighbor found those kids running around outside their Gastonia apartment. Tonight, the White House is still not responding after special counsel Robert Mueller's questions were leaked to the New York Times. Mueller plans to ask President Trump nearly 4 dozen questions as part of the probe into Russian election interference and whether or not the president obstructed justice. The bulk of the questions surround the president's decision to fire former FBI Director James Comey, including why and who played a role. Mueller will also question why Trump continues to criticize Comey and his former deputy Andrew McCabe. Mueller also wants to know if Trump had any knowledge of outreach by his campaign to Russia, specifically regarding Paul Manafort. The president lashed out on Twitter today about those leaks. Trump tweeted, quote, "So disgraceful that the questions concerning the Russian witch hunt were leaked to the media. No questions on collusion. OIC, you have made up phony crime, collusion that never existed, and an investigation begun with illegally leaked classified information." Nice. Weather-wise, parts of our area are dealing with some scattered showers right now. You can see that stuff moving around. The rain will taper off by morning. The big story, we're tracking some warmer temps. We could get a 90-degree day this week. I'm here with WCCB Charlotte Chief Meteorologist Greg Arbrecht. We didn't quite get there over the weekend when the Wells Fargo was here, but it's not too far off, I guess.
Yeah, and if you think back to last year, we touched 90 degrees on June 13th. That puts us over a month ahead of last year.
I don't like that at all.
That's not a good start.
Correct that, please.
Wish I could.
The Scooby-Doo mystery machine van leads officers on a high-speed chase, but it wasn't Shaggy, Fred and the gang driving the van.
Was it a ghost? No, it was a woman behind the wheel in Northern California Sunday. Police wanted to arrest her for a probation violation. The woman eventually abandoned the van and is still on the loose.
Maybe it was a ghost.
Rubber Raggy. It happens.
Have you been practicing that all night?
No, I've used that many times in my professional career.
Wow. That was good. That was good.
No, it goes back to the sports days.
Okay. Former Panther Charles Johnson has decided where he will suit up next season. Brandon has the latest on where big money is headed.
And later on the edge, the brawny man is now the brawny woman. For sure, right? How the paper towel company is embracing a fempower moment. Or fempowerment. Sorry. Tonight at 10. Rubber Raggy.